I want to get right into this. So, this is something that I've been thinking about for a while. I just took a kind of a crash course in the fixed stars. So, the fixed stars of the zodiac, the most prominent. Well, actually, not just the most prominent, like the stars that make up the 12 sun signs and the 27 lunar mansions. So, all of these stars have different energies. These fixed stars basically take on the energies of the planets. And when different planets conjunct with them, it either amplifies or it sort of kind of neutralizes their effects depending on what energies are mixing. So the fixed stars are not often looked at, but they're real kind of hidden gems. They're not necessarily hidden, but they're real gems that a lot of astrologers don't use. So the reason I'm calling this video the Trump Hex Backfire 2.0 is because just this week, the end of this week, it came out in the mainstream media that Donald Trump has been federally indicted for what? 36 federal crimes or something, including espionage. This is a big burlesque. So what I mean by burlesque is people's emotions are getting played. People are being entertained and they're being emotionally stimulated and titillated. And I think some people kind of get off sexually from this whole thing too. So, but yeah, burlesque is just it's a form of entertainment that's made to excite people and arouse people. So this is a giant burlesque. It's just like, in the New York court system where they were going to nail Donald Trump for some campaign finance fraud or something. Didn't work. So they didn't ruin him with the civil suits with, people accusing him of harassments and assault, even though that they had no evidence for. They were like, oh yeah, 40 years ago he did this and I didn't tell anyone, but now I'm here, Might have happened, but at that point, you should have said something back when it happened. So, and I'm not making the case for Donald Trump. It's not that I'm not pro any politician. I think people should rule their own lives and not look for saviors and messiahs. This whole thing about being saved, whether on earth or spiritually, it's very disempowering because instead of people taking responsibility for themselves, they're just looking for a savior. It's pretty toxic in a lot of ways, and it keeps people in a childlike mentality. It keeps people in a juvenile mentality. So, yeah, I'm not making the case for him. He's a turd. He's a narcissist, but in a lot of ways, he's nowhere near as nasty as the people he's going up against. You can honestly say he's not a warmonger. So anyway, this is just a big thing that's going on, and I want to talk about it. So he was hexed once, okay? In the run-up to the 2016 election and during his whole presidency, he was hexed. Now, what's a hex? A hex is a magical operation. It's when you're having not malevolent thoughts towards people. You're having thoughts where you want somebody to suffer, you want somebody to be harmed, you want somebody to be killed, to get sick, to lose everything. You want somebody to suffer. So what you do is you basically do a magical operation where you're looking to alter the fabric of reality and manifest suffering or sickness or whatever in some other person that you believe wronged you. Now, hexes can be done rightfully without side effects to you. But the way to do this is you can really only rightfully hex somebody who has tried to kill you, tried to kill a member of your family, who's tried to ruin your business, your public image, who's tried to take your home away from you. People who personally attacked you or people close to you, those are the people you can rightfully hex without it backfiring, without having it bounce back and harm you instead. Now, from 2015 onwards, through Trump's presidency until now, people have actually been hexing him. So they've been wishing death and imprisonment and bankruptcy and sickness upon this guy. And it's millions of people who've never had anything done directly to them by him. So it's people who've never met him. All they know about him is what the television and what the internet says about him, or what their wacko college professors say about him. So it's all secondhand information. It's all, and all the news is propaganda, no matter what it is. It's all secondhand propaganda. It's where they're getting their information about the guy. So based on a television show they saw, or an internet segment they saw, they hate this guy. They want him to die. They want him to get sick. They want him to get imprisoned. So people for years have been pouring their hate, or they're attempting to pour their hate onto him. Now, if somebody has never directly attacked you and you try to hex them, you don't harm them. You end up harming yourself. It's a great way to get cancer. And so it harms you, and then it actually builds that person's charisma because it's publicity. When you get out there and even if you freak out on your TikTok, your Instagram, in the course of all this, you're giving publicity. So you're building that person's charisma, and you're making that person seem appealing to people who think you look like a whack job. So we've got this going all over again. And with these federal indictments, this is going to whip people up, and people are going to be going, oh, that motherfucker, I hope he gets raped and murdered in jail. People are going to be saying this. You're going to have hundreds of TV and internet watchers, TV and social media and mainstream news watchers saying, that motherfucker Trump, I hope they give him life and he gets raped and murdered in jail. They're going to be saying this shit about him. And I don't think it's going to happen because, when he was running for president, when he became president, basically the wallflowers, and kind of the wimps in society became weaponized. So it's like, wimp is the new bully. They took millions of people who are terrified of standing on their own and making a stand on their own. They gave them a banner to rally behind. So they took millions of people who need to stand with the crowd. They're terrified of not standing with the crowd. They're up at night worrying that they stand out from the crowd and, they're not acceptable. Now, this happens on both sides of politics. It's not just the left. In this case, it was the left. The left got weaponized. All of the really meek people on the left got weaponized, and they became bullies. Every poor victim has a bully, has a very vicious inner bully. And then people who are outward bullies have an inner, meek little poor me, victim. It's a yin and yang thing. So the vicious inner bully was brought out of the very, meek kind of wallflower people who were, like, people are so mean to me, you know what I mean? So they became the bullies. They became the hateful ones. And there are Republicans who are doing this too. So they participated in a hex where they wished imprisonment, death, sickness, and whatever else on this guy. It didn't work. He became more charismatic. He became more popular. Now that he's more popular, his political opponents, and their corporate masters want to throw them in jail. So, and we've got this Banana Republic election coming up where Shou Bai-zheng, aka Joe Biden, he's not going to debate and he's not going to campaign. He's just going to be on the ballot. And he's going to do his damnedest to throw his most threatening opponents in jail. So that's like a Saddam Hussein election. But they're all about diversity and equality and fairness and the rule of law. So, hypocrisy as usual. But this hex, okay? You got another hex going. People are going to wish Donald Trump death, illness, bankruptcy, and imprisonment. And they're going to be saying he needs to get raped in the ass in prison and murdered. They're going to say this shit. Now, where does the backfire to this hex come in? Okay? Now I got to get to the point about these fixed stars here. So, Rahu and Ketu, the nodes of the moon, the dragon's head, dragon's tail, they're going to change signs on the 28th of November this year, 2023, right after Thanksgiving, okay? Ketu's going to go from Libra to Virgo because Rahu and Ketu are always in retrogression. They go backwards from our point of view on Earth. Ketu's going to go to Virgo from Libra. Rahu's going to go to Pisces from Aries. So Ketu takes things away. Ketu liberates people from their attachments. One of our attachments for all of us is our mortal 3D physical existence. Ketu, excuse me, at one point or another liberates us from this 3D world to go back home to the higher dimensions. So when Ketu is in Virgo, Virgo deals with healthcare, doctors, medicines, poisons, shots, all that kind of stuff. And so when Ketu goes through here, we're going to deal with losses and letting go around the subjects of health, disease, medicines, poisons, shots, okay? Public health, doctors, medical scientists. So when Ketu goes here, Virgo, at the end of November, I think this is going to start another round. It's going to start probably the first big round of side effects from the needlecraft, okay? And the data's there that, the needlecraft side effects, especially like the heart-related stuff, it's going to take some years to kick in. But as the years go by, it's going to be growing. The incidence of these side effects from this needlecraft is going to be growing. Different types of cancers too. You're going to see that ramping up. So basically, as this whole new Trump hex is going on, Ketu's going to Virgo to kick this shit on. And so, basically in this sign, Virgo, that deals with health, Ketu is going to be like, okay, I've got to check on your health here, see how your health is doing. And if you're doing things that are not good for your health, they're going to have to be cleansed. And if you don't want to cleanse those habits that are hurting your health, you're going to suffer losses. You're going to get sick. You may pass physically. So now on top of this, so right near 0 Libra, in the cusp into 29 Virgo, you've got the fixed star Spica, or people often call it Spica. Spica is the left hand of the young woman or the angel, who is the symbol, the glyph for Virgo. So it's the left hand, and it holds sheaves of wheat. So wheat is a food, it's nourishment. This does deal with, the bounty of the earth. It deals with agriculture and all that stuff, the produce of the earth. Because that Virgo is the goddess, and the goddesses the goddess's offspring, one of the goddess's offsprings, it's the produce, the food that the earth bears, you know, so especially like when you're talking about like sun goddesses, you know. So you get the wheat in the hand. When you go into older astrology, especially like ancient Egyptian, it's actually the goddess is holding a baby with that left arm. So it's like, you know, Jesus, for example, was one of these children of the goddess, you know, in a long line of these, you know, divine messiahs. Um, you know, he was like 2000, you know, when all those stories are being compiled, he was like the latest one. He was the latest child of this Virgo goddess, you know, I think like a solar goddess. So because of this, Spica also deals with protection, okay? So it deals with this divine protection from this goddess. So, like I said, K2 goes to Virgo November 28th, but then on October 3rd, the K2, transiting K2, and then Rahu are going to conjunct fully at 0 degrees. What is it? Yeah, it's like October 3rd, October 4th. They're going to conjunct at 0 degrees and, you know, something like 20, 25 minutes of Libra. So right before K2 goes to 29 Virgo, Rahu and K2 are going to pass each other, basically do a handoff at 0 Libra. Now so fixed stars have a 2-degree orb, so 2 degrees on either side they influence. So 0 Libra is definitely under the influence of Spica or Spica. Now, K2 and Mars are both symbolized by blades. You know, they cut things away. So Rahu and K2 together, it's like a Mars on steroids or a K2 on steroids. They have this like similarity. You know, Mars is a warrior, a conqueror, a surgeon. K2 is a liberator. So they're going to pass each other under the influence of Spica. And, you know, Mars and K2, when you put them together, it means assured victory, and a symbol's like a battle flag. It's like, you know, the territory's been conquered. But since they cut things away, what they're doing is they're basically cutting away this divine protection of this nourishing goddess, Virgo, who's a healer. So with the timing of this, you know, I think if people participate in this new Trump hex, they're going to get the protection of their health basically removed, cut away. So this is going to be a good time, you know, from that's over a year and a half till November 2024. If there's even an election, if, you know, Shou Bai-Zhang isn't just made president for the rest of his short life. Because of his age and his health, I'm not advocating any violence here. If he's just made president for life or whatever, or, you know, the FEMA emergency government, you know, gets to take over for a while, we'll see what happens in November 2024. But until then, don't glue yourself to the news. You know, maybe scan the headlines and drop it, or even just drop it, because freaking out about the news is an addiction. It's a pretty nasty addiction. So it's a good attachment to break here. And it hurts your health. So K2 will be happy with you. You know, and this is like K2 through Virgo. I mean, since being a news hound is actually harmful to your health, even without this needlecraft flying around, that could be something K2 tries to cleanse people of for the sake of their health. You know, during that year and a half while K2 transits Virgo. So, yeah, just keep your eyes peeled for this. December, January, and onward, especially in the northern hemisphere through that cold and flu season. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see the side effects of the needlecraft ramping up, but they're going to try to call this a new, a new pandemic. They're going to try to say, oh, it's a new variation and it's going to get you and it's even worse than everything we've seen before. It's worse than all the variations from 2020 and 2021 and 2022. You better go get your needlecraft. They're going to try to pull some of that shit. So they're gonna try to bring us back to pandemic mode, but it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Like the Trump stories are not working. It's not gonna work like the Ukraine war story's not working. It's not gonna work like the fake alien invasion story's not working. It's just these fuckers are at the end of their road. And so much shit's gonna be getting exposed from now and through then. So something to keep on your radar. I could be wrong, but I've been doing a lot of meditations and stuff like that, and this whole thing with the fixed star Spica and Virgo keeps coming up. All right, have a good weekend. That's all from me.